And hello everybody, welcome to week 12 in the Huddle. I'm Kevin Cooney from the Bucks County Courier-Times along with my normal co-host Dom Constantino, and today we're at the American Star Diner, our favorite gathering place on a Friday night, with Dan Morehouse from the WNPV Intelligencer Scoreboard Show and Kyle Berger, the fine play-by-play voice of WNPV. We're going to talk about a couple issues as we head into the second weekend of the District 1 playoffs. And obviously, the first one was filled with suspense, but we get to the main matchup of the weekend, the prime matchup, some would say, of the tournament. Number 1 seed North Penn is going to take on number 8 Neshaminy, Friday night, Crawford Stadium, we think. And Kyle, what do you see out of this matchup? Obviously, on paper, it looks like a little bit of a mismatch for North Penn, but the way Neshaminy's always played them, it's kind of tough to imagine that this game's going to be lopsided, isn't it?
Kevin, you make a great point. With North Penn and Neshaminy, this is now their third year in a row meeting in the postseason. There's a great rivalry between the Redskins and the Knights. You throw really any matchups out the window because it just seems that you're looking at a one-touchdown game. That didn't happen last year in the district championship game. North Penn handled Neshaminy pretty well. As the number 1 seed and with home field advantage, most things favor North Penn going into this game. But again, Neshaminy's going to show up ready to play, and this is the battle for the last team standing in the Suburban 1 League after what was a pretty difficult opening weekend in the playoffs for that league.
Dan, the matchup itself, I mean, when you look at how does Neshaminy stop Craig Needhammer, and how does Neshaminy get any offense going the other way? I think is the keys to this game. Do you agree?
It's the absolute key. North Penn does a really good job of neutralizing the main power of their opponent. And in Neshaminy's case, other than Brian Dean, Corey Majors has contributed somewhat. Frankie Chaucer has proven to be a reliable receiver, but Brian Dean is the man. Dick Beck coach teams always figure out a way to stop that number 1 guy.
Dom, what do you see the main matchup here is?
Well, I think it's going to be North Penn speed, or North Penn speed against Neshaminy's power. I mean, the one team that had given North Penn a battle, so to speak, in the last several weeks was Souderton, just with the physicality they brought up front. Neshaminy's got a bigger line than many of the other teams that North Penn has faced, at least in league play, and through the first round of the playoffs with Council Rock North. If Neshaminy's able to pound it at North Penn and really give it to them up front, North Penn's defensive line averages less than 200 pounds, just under 200 pounds. Can Neshaminy's power overcome the speed that North Penn's D-line brings? That's where Neshaminy's got a chance in this game, I think.
I think the one thing when you look at it also is that Neshaminy has had major problems on special teams the last 2 weeks, really. The loss to Pennsbury in the final game of the regular season for the SOL, and then last week against Abington had a blocked punt return for a touchdown, and another short punt. They cannot afford to make those types of mistakes. If they cut back on that, I think we're going to see a heck of a game. If not, it could end up being a snowball effect early. Everybody kind of agree on that?
Yeah, I think North Penn, Neshaminy more than anything is going to need to control the football.
Right.
Their best offense will be their defense. Or their best defense will be their offense,
right.
I should say, keeping North Penn's offense off the field because North Penn's got that high-powered offense that's capable of scoring quickly, with a lot of different weapons, a lot of speed, everything else. But if Neshaminy is able to establish their running game and control the clock, control the ball, keep North Penn's offense off the field, they've got a chance to have some success in this game. It's a big if, though.
You mentioned the special teams, and I think the team that plays the best on special teams is going to win this game. Obviously, Neshaminy has a 2-quarterback system. Some people like it, some people don't. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who executes on special teams, because when you have an error on special teams, that usually translates into points for your opponent one way or another, whether it's a blocked punt, a fumbled kick return, even a block in the back on a return, a penalty that can really kill you in a field position game. So that's what I'll be looking for on Friday night at Crawford Stadium.
Kevin, I think this is our best shot all season of seeing North Penn involved in a 48-minute football game. But I also think they've got way too many weapons for Neshaminy's defense to deal with.
Kyle cannot predict because of the nature of his job. Agreed?
I would agree. I'm going to stay impartial on this one and just hope that for the first time in, the whole season, I have a game that's competitive, right? It comes down to the final couple of minutes because we haven't had many of them this year.
I'm not going to predict a score because if I could, I'd be making a lot of money in Atlantic City. but I don't think that North Penn is in any danger of losing on Friday night.
Dom?
Kev, I think North Penn wins this game 28-14. I think they've got too many weapons on offense. I think their defensive backfield, their linebackers, their secondary bring too much speed to the table. They'll be able to overcome anything Neshaminy's got to bring. Neshaminy's going to hang with them, but I like North Penn by a couple of touchdowns.
And I'm going to take North Penn, but I think it's a real close game. I think North Penn can lose this game if they don't match up along the lines. But I think asking Neshaminy to play a perfect game is asking a lot. So I'm going to take North Penn. Let's go 28-21. There's one other playoff game involving an area team this week, and that's Archbishop Wood, who's playing in the District 12 Championship 3A game against Simon Gratz, making their first appearance in the states or in the city title game in how long? 60 years?
60 years, 1949.
Okay. Does Wood have anything to fear in this game? We've seen what's happened with the public league in the past. Does Wood really have any concerns of losing in this one?
No. They really don't. I mean, I think, not to say that Wood can show up and win this game, but Wood can pretty much show up and win this game. And I think that Gratz has got, they are what they are, but Wood has proven all season long the way they dominated within the AAA division of the Catholic League, that they're certainly not going to get much of a challenge this week. And it's time now for America's favorite quick hit segment, 4 Downs, and Kyle will get it started with you.
I'm honored. Since the mid-90s, the powers that be and the powerful real estate of District 1 has been a pretty narrow swatch of land stretching from Doylestown down through Lansdale and on to Levittown and Fairless Hills. But right now, that stretch of real estate is being threatened by the schools and the townships in the western part of District 1. There's been an absolute population boom on the outskirts of the Philadelphia suburbs, and areas that were once considered rural are now considered suburban schools with high populations and have now grown into the Quad A level. Even next year, we're going to see 5 new Quad A schools joining the ranks of District 1. And you guessed it, 4 out of those 5 schools are coming from Chester County. So at this point, Suburban 1 football is now clearly in danger of losing its grasp on District 1 supremacy. If you want to look for the latest talent and some up-and-comers, both on the field and on the sidelines, go west, young man. Dan?
Thanks, Kyle. For 2nd down, I want to know if this is the year that Dick Beck finally gets the credit he deserves for the coaching job that he's been doing year in and year out. I think people think, and maybe it's from a jealousy standpoint, because he's got such big numbers, he just has to throw a couple of footballs on the field in late August, and his teams are going to show up in the playoffs. He's a terrific coach. He gets everything he can out of his kids. He's got a good staff around him, and I think it's time that he got his just due.
I'd like to know if the Philadelphia Catholic League can please kind of get its act together in terms of how many champions it crowns. Right now, the Catholic League has champions in Quad A, AAA, and AA. And I think it's high time that they did away with that playoff system within the Catholic League and maybe crown just one Catholic League champion. Perhaps with the closures next year of North Catholic and Cardinal Dougherty, as well as the merger of Kennedy-Kenrick, which brings the league down to 14 teams, there might be a little more sanity in terms of how the league crowns its champions. For instance, Bishop McDevitt and West Catholic played 3 times in the last 4 weeks, with McDevitt losing all 3 games to West. I don't see any reason why that has to happen. The league needs to accept the fact that they've joined the PIAA and play accordingly.
14 teams, 3 champions, that makes a lot of sense, of course. My final act is about the rivalry. You know, it's a lost art, really. I mean, with the way things are gone, you don't usually see great playoff rivalries anymore. But you got one here in Neshaminy and North Penn. These teams have met now 3 straight years. They are the gold standards, sorry Jeff Lurie, for what football greatness in District 1 has been about for this decade. And for one of them, they will play their final game of the decade on Friday night. Appreciate what this has meant to us as a group and as an area. You have seen some of the best players in the history of this area play over the recent years in this game. Enjoy it and celebrate it, because it may not happen again. And that'll do it for us here in the Huddle for Week 12. I'm Kevin Cooney. My thanks to Dom Constantino, to Dan Morehouse, to Kyle Berger. We will join you again next week, pre-Thanksgiving edition, as we will have one team we know still alive on the road to Hershey. Until then, have a good one, everybody. And guys, it's time to eat finally.
I'm going to step outside the box and get a BLT.
Wow,
That's a
you're
shocker.
going out.
I don't know, breakfast or dinner?
Yeah, I don't know,
Breakfast for dinner.
Breakfast for dinner?
Breakfast or dinner.
I never believed in that.
You never did?
No, never believed in that.
It's your problem.
Never
your
did the
problem.
IHOP thing.
No?
Single or double milkshake, Kevin?
I'm getting double.
Add butter.